There are wild dreams hidden in all of us, experiences we crave so deeply they visit us in our quietest moments. Quitting your job to travel the world, starting over, facing your fears. But why do most people never do them? In today's episode of the Untold X, we're exploring the hidden desires people are too scared to chase, and what happens when they finally do. Real stories, hard truths, and the moment that changes everything. If you've ever felt stuck, this might just unlock something inside you. Across cultures, time zones, and social classes, humans share a deep desire for transformative experiences, those wild, meaningful moments that redefine who we are. We long for adventure, for self-discovery, for something that makes our souls sing. From trekking across distant continents to abandoning comfort for creative freedom, many crave something more than the daily grind. And yet most never begin. Why? That's what we're going to unpack today. This isn't about judging anyone's choices. This is about understanding the powerful forces at play that keep us from pursuing our wildest dreams, not because they are impossible, but because they require something from us. These dreams ask for courage, for a willingness to disrupt the status quo, and often a complete rewiring of how we think about fear and fulfillment. This article explores those experiences, the ones people dream of but struggle to pursue. We'll dive deep into the fears, the insecurities, and the societal conditioning that holds us back. And most importantly, we'll uncover the courage and strategies needed to break free and embrace the wildness within each of us. Traveling the world alone, picture it. Backpacking through Southeast Asia, sipping espresso in a Parisian cafe, watching the sunrise over Machu Picchu. Sounds like a romantic adventure, doesn't it? And for many, it becomes exactly that, a life-altering journey of self-discovery and freedom. Yet for most people, the thought of boarding a plane with no companion, itinerary, or safety net is terrifying. The unknown whispers anxieties in our ears. What if I get lost? What if I get lonely? What if something bad happens? We are wired for connection. Our brains crave it, seek it out. So the idea of venturing out alone, of facing the world without our familiar anchors, can feel downright dangerous. We fear the vulnerability of being alone, of navigating unfamiliar territory without our tribe. But here's the thing about vulnerability. It's also the birthplace of courage, of resilience, of profound connection. When we choose to step into the unknown, to embrace the discomfort of being alone, we open ourselves up to a world of possibility, to deeper connections with ourselves and others. We learn to trust our intuition, to rely on our own strength. We discover hidden reserves of resilience we didn't know we possessed. We learn to embrace the kindness of strangers, to find connection in unexpected places. Solo travel, in its purest form, is a confrontation with the self. It is a stripping away of external validation, of the comfort of the known. And in that space of vulnerability, we often find the most authentic, powerful versions of ourselves. So, if the call to adventure whispers to you, if the thought of a solo journey sets your soul on fire, don't let fear hold you back. Pack your bags, book that ticket, and take the leap. The world is waiting to meet you. And you might just surprise yourself with who you discover along the way. Starting over. It's a phrase loaded with both terror and exhilaration. We're talking about the big stuff here. Quitting a soul-crushing job, leaving a marriage that no longer serves you, changing your name to reflect the person you've become. These are the radical life overhauls, the ones that require us to dismantle the life we've built and step into the unknown. It's no wonder most people never take the leap. These decisions shake us to our core. They challenge our sense of self, our beliefs about who we are and what we're capable of. The fear is understandable. What if I fail? What if I regret it? What will people think? We cling to the familiar, to the comfort of routine, even when it no longer brings us joy. We tell ourselves stories about responsibility, about security, about not wanting to disappoint others. And these stories, as well as the fear that fuels them, keep us stuck. But what if, just what if, on the other side of that fear lies the most authentic, fulfilling version of ourselves? What if the life we're meant to live is waiting for us to let go of the old narrative, the one that no longer fits? Radical life overhauls are not for the faint of heart. They require immense courage, a willingness to face our deepest fears, and a deep trust in ourselves. It is a process of shedding old identities, of letting go of who we thought we were supposed to be to make space for who we are becoming. It's about giving ourselves permission to rewrite the script, to choose ourselves, even when it's hard, even when it's messy, even when it terrifies us. Because here's the truth, the most extraordinary chapters of our lives are often written after we muster the courage to close the previous ones. So if you find yourself at a crossroads, your soul yearning for a change, know this: you are not alone. The courage to begin is within you. Trust yourself, take that first step, and watch as the universe conspires to support you every step of the way. We live in a world obsessed with external achievement, with the hustle and the tangible markers of success. But what about the inner world? What about the wild, untamed landscapes of our minds and spirits? Experiences like silent retreats, psychedelic ceremonies, or extended fasting don't often make it onto our Instagram feeds. They're not about adrenaline or bragging rights. They're about going inward, about confronting the deepest parts of ourselves, the light and the shadow. And for many, that's terrifying. We spend so much time distracting ourselves, numbing out, avoiding the discomfort of our own thoughts and emotions. We fear what we might find if we sit still for too long, if we quiet the noise and listen to the whispers of our souls. These experiences, these journeys into the inner world are not always easy. They can be challenging, uncomfortable, even painful at times, but they are also deeply transformative. They offer us a chance to heal old wounds, to confront limiting beliefs, to connect with something larger than ourselves. Imagine sitting in silence, your breath the only sound, and feeling a sense of peace you didn't know was possible. Imagine confronting your deepest fears and emerging on the other side, lighter, freer, more alive. Imagine experiencing a love so vast, so all-encompassing, that it changes your understanding of what it means to be human. These are the possibilities that await us when we choose to face our inner world with courage and curiosity. When we cultivate a relationship with our minds and spirits, we tap into a wellspring of wisdom, resilience, and unconditional love that can transform every aspect of our lives. So if you feel a pull towards these inner explorations, don't let fear hold you back. Find a guide you trust, create a safe container for yourself, and take the plunge. The journey inward is often the most rewarding one we can take. We're all creative beings. It's in our DNA. From the moment we're born, we're hardwired to create, to draw on cave walls, to sing before we can speak, to build sandcastle empires with reckless abandon. But somewhere along the way, for many of us, that spark dims. We start to internalize messages like, "Don't be silly, that's not practical, what will people think?" And so we silence our creative voices. We stuff our poems in drawers, abandon our canvases, and let our melodies go unsung. We convince ourselves that we're not talented enough, not good enough, not worthy of being seen. The fear of creative exposure is one of the most universal fears we face. It's the fear of judgment, of rejection, of putting our hearts and souls out there only to be met with criticism or even worse, indifference. But here's the thing about creativity. It thrives in vulnerability. It needs space to breathe, to be messy, to be imperfect. When we choose to share our creative gifts with the world, we open ourselves up to a level of connection and joy that is unparalleled. We give ourselves permission to be seen, to be heard, to be fully expressed. So, if you have a book inside you begging to be written, a song yearning to be sung, a painting waiting to be born, I urge you to answer that call. Start small, write a paragraph, sing in the shower, doodle on a napkin. The world needs your voice, your unique expression, and you deserve to experience the joy of bringing your creative visions to life. There's a primal part of us, a wildness that whispers in our blood, that craves the feeling of being fully alive. It calls to us from the edges of cliffs, from the open doors of airplanes, from the rushing rapids of untamed rivers. Adrenaline experiences, skydiving, cliff diving, base jumping. They're not just about the rush, although that's certainly a part of it. They're about confronting our fears, pushing our limits, proving to ourselves that we're capable of more than we thought possible. But for many, the fear is paralyzing. Our brains, hardwired for survival, scream at us to stay safe, to avoid danger at all costs. What if the parachute doesn't open? What if I freeze? What if I get hurt? These fears are valid, these activities are inherently risky, but they also offer a level of exhilaration, a sense of freedom and aliveness that is difficult to find anywhere else. It's about staring fear in the face and choosing courage. It's about pushing past our comfort zones and discovering the incredible strength and resilience of the human spirit. It's about the moment you leap from the plane, the wind rushing past your face, and realizing that you are not falling, you're flying. It's about the feeling of accomplishment, of conquering your fears, of proving to yourself that you are capable of anything you set your mind to. So, if you've ever dreamed of skydiving, of bungee jumping, of pushing your physical limits, know this: you are braver than you think. Find a reputable company, take the necessary precautions, and then take the leap. You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Sometimes the wildest, most courageous thing we can do has nothing to do with physical feats or grand adventures. Sometimes the bravest act is facing the emotional cliff that stands between us and another human being. We're talking about those hard conversations, the ones we avoid, the ones that keep us up at night. It might be telling a loved one how much they've hurt you, finally setting boundaries with a toxic friend, or having that long overdue conversation with a partner about the state of your relationship. These conversations are terrifying because they involve vulnerability on a whole other level. They require us to be honest with ourselves and others, to risk rejection, to potentially disrupt the status quo. What if they get angry? What if they leave? What if I ruin everything? The fear is real, but so is the potential for healing, for deeper connection, for authenticity in our relationships. When we choose to have these hard conversations, we choose courage over comfort. We choose to show up as our most authentic selves, even when it's scary. It's about speaking our truth with love and compassion, but also with clarity and firmness. It's about setting boundaries, about honoring our needs, and about inviting others to do the same. And here's the thing about hard conversations: they rarely go as badly as we imagine. In fact, they often lead to breakthroughs, to deeper understanding, to stronger relationships. So if you've been avoiding a difficult conversation, know this: you're not alone. Find a safe space, gather your courage, and speak your truth. The relief and freedom you'll experience on the other side will be worth the risk. We've journeyed through various landscapes of fear and courage, from the heights of adrenaline-pumping adventures to the depths of our inner worlds. And despite the diversity of these experiences, the psychological barriers we encounter are often the same. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, discomfort with uncertainty, and the allure of routine and comfort. We lack the visible support or role models to show us the way, and so we hesitate, we question, we hold ourselves back. In most cases, the obstacle isn't external, it's internal. The stories we tell ourselves, the fears we harbor, are far more limiting than any financial or logistical barrier. We build walls of what-ifs and I-can'ts, trapping ourselves in a cage of our own making. For many, the moment they finally take the leap is preceded by a catalyst. A crisis, divorce, job loss, illness. An inspiring encounter, a book, a movie, a person. Or a slow build-up of unbearable dissatisfaction. They reach a breaking point, or perhaps more accurately, a breakthrough point. They realize that staying stuck is no longer an option, that the pain of inaction outweighs the fear of the unknown. They often describe this shift as a reawakening, a remembering of who they were before the world told them who they should be. They discover that their wildest dreams aren't impossible. They were simply waiting for permission, their own permission, to be pursued. Everyone has a wild thing they want to do, something that haunts their daydreams and surfaces in quiet moments. The longer it stays dormant, the more painful it becomes. But those who take the leap almost never regret it. They live richer, deeper, more honest lives, not because they didn't feel fear, but because they chose growth over safety. If there's something calling you, a place you long to visit, a project you're afraid to start, a transformation you crave, start small. The first step is often just saying it out loud, acknowledging its existence, giving it voice. Write it down, share it with a trusted friend. Take one small action towards making it a reality. The wildest version of your life isn't impossible, it's just waiting for your permission. Everyone has a wild idea they're secretly obsessed with. Maybe it's time to stop waiting. If this episode gave you that push, or at least made you think, hit that like button, subscribe to the Untold X, and drop your wildest dream in the comments. Don't just watch life-changing stories, start living yours. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and chase the untold.